Hello, and welcome back to the Crazy Confidence Coach podcast. This is episode 44. And today I'm going to talk about some natural ways that you can reduce anxiety. So, a quick disclaimer, if you are a person who is currently on medication for anxiety, please don't stop your medication. Talk to your doctor. Most of what I'm talking about today can be used in conjunction with anything you're doing. But as always, your doctor and you know you better than anyone else can. So just use that common sense when you're considering these things that we're going to talk about today. Welcome to the Crazy Confidence Coach podcast. I'm on a quest to help you find the most confident version of you. I help women become the most authentic version of themselves by helping them find clarity around who they are and who they want to be. My goal is to help women sift through all that noise that they have in their head about who they should be or who they shouldn't be, and create a plan to be exactly who they want to be. You don't have to continue to live with anxiety, high stress, and overwhelm. You can, little by little, get back to a place of peace and live with more contentment than you ever thought possible. You don't have to merely survive day to day. There is a life waiting for you, thriving. Grab your coffee, your favorite colored pen, and a pad of paper because we're headed out to find your confidence today. Many of the things that I talk about today, I have used personally, I have shared with people that I coach with, or I have shared with people that I love. For the most part, they're also very natural. They're things that I believe that are, one, less expensive in general, and then also just easier access. They're things that you don't need a doctor's note to do. Here we go. I hope you enjoy. Let's talk first about something that's super easy to get, cheap and easy, and it's actually something super fun. Giving and receiving hugs. Frequent hugs reduce anxiety and they increase oxytocin. Oxytocin can help reduce your heart rate and increases your ability to cope during stressful times in your life. So think about when you have a kid who runs across the room and jumps in your arms and gives you a hug. How does that make you feel? It feels like the best thing ever, right? So I did a little research on, does it matter if you hug for a short time or if you hug for a long time? What I found kind of surprised me that it does matter how long you hug. There was a study done at the University of London by a researcher, Anna Doran, found that the duration of your hug actually matters. Ultimately, you get the most benefit from hugs if they last longer than 5 seconds. So if you think about 5 seconds, it's not that long. So just hold on just a little longer when you give a hug to your spouse or your children or a friend. It does benefit both of you. So it's mutual, it's free. And I have to say, when my husband and I have a hard day or one of us has a hard day, we actually have a little joke that we just tell each other, hey, I need some oxytocin. And we give each other a long hug. And it is amazing how it feels after that. Pay attention. When you're hugging someone, how do you feel? What can you do to increase the amount of hugs that you have or that you give? Also, when it comes to hugging, it's one of those things that you think that you have to give a hug or receive a hug from someone, but there's studies out there that show hugging yourself can actually give you very similar benefits. Don't fret if you don't have a spouse or someone else to hug you. You can hug yourself and you can also hug your animals or cuddle with your animals. Which brings me to number 2 for ways to decrease your anxiety, and that is time with animals in cuddle time or pet therapy. So most of us are aware of benefits of owning cats and dogs because we have lots of cats and dogs for pets. But did you know, according to an article written in March of 2024 on myneurocare.com, animals actually lower your blood pressure, increase oxytocin, which again has a potential to alleviate anxiety and promote relaxation. You can use so many more different animals than what we might normally associate with pet therapy. So here are a few: horses, rabbits, birds, dolphins, cows, llamas, pigs. All of those can be used in pet therapy, and If you go researching, you'll be shocked. When I went researching for pet therapy, I can't believe really how many places I found. And honestly, it looks like it's super fun. This is one that I haven't gone out to somewhere to hire them to do pet therapy, but I do have a dog. My husband and I have always had 1 or 2 dogs at all times. And I can't imagine my house without it, because definitely we do lots of cuddling, and definitely there's a lot of interaction that inflates my sense of happiness, and I think my husband's as well. Number 3, massage. Physically going to get a massage, because it actually is helpful in all kinds of things. Getting massage can lower your heart rate, your blood pressure. It helps increase levels of serotonin as well, and dopamine, and all of that helps with mood regulation. The number 4 way is my favorite right now. It's something I'm using and actively trying to figure out more about. It's called grounding or earthing. And this basically just means that you have direct contact with the surface of the Earth's electrons, or you're connected in a way that grounds you to the earth. This process can be extremely simple by throwing your shoes off and walking in the grass or on the ground. And it's said that it helps reduce inflammation and it helps reduce anxiety. So walking on the ground, just simple and easy and free, of course. So the other thing you can do is there are grounding bracelets, grounding patches that are used with when you have an injury, when you have an acute injury from something like a cut or something like that. They have grounding patches that speed along the recovery time. And then you can also just simply get grounding mats that you can use at home, or sheets. And what happens is those are all connected by a wire to grounding in an outlet in your home. It's supposed to replicate the idea of grounding outside. I have a grounding mat under my desk that I put my feet on during the day when I'm working. And then I've also recently purchased a grounding sheet topper. It's not the full sheet, but just a topper that I'm able to lay over at night. And I can honestly say I am sleeping deeper and have more dreams than I have before. I feel like it is definitely helping with my sleep quality. For sure, I'm waking up more rested and ready to go quicker than I used to be. It used to take me at least an hour to be fully up and functional with coffee and all the things. And now I feel like I'm ready to go in about 15 minutes after I get out of bed, which is a huge improvement. That's 45 minutes of gained functional time in the day. So I'll take it. Number 5 is very closely related to grounding, or at least similar, in that tree or forest bathing, walking in a wooded area, helps oxygenate your brain and actually gives you a very deep mindfulness experience, and it helps reduce your stress. Slow down, notice what's around you, take the time to listen to the sounds, take in the dappled sun through the trees, but all of this helps reduce your anxiety and it increases oxygen levels to your brain, and that alone helps improve your brain function. So next time you feel completely overwhelmed, think about how can you go drop into a wooded area or a forest, maybe go to a botanical area or a trail nearby and take a walk and take in the forest by forest bathing. And then number 6 using is sound frequency. There's several ways to use sound and frequency to help your anxiety, but most of us think of just music. Think about the last time you found a song that kind of made you want to dance, or you watch a little child who's listening to some music and all of a sudden they start wiggling their butt. It's very normal for us to react to music. So what we don't probably know is that feeling when we tune into something, a music, a beat. There's some real science behind how helpful that can be for your anxiety and for your health. One way to use sound is by listening to binaural beats. The distinction around binaural sound is the audio is kind of recorded, not kind of, but it is recorded by dual microphones. It's most usefully listened to through headphones, so each ear is hearing a different tone. And the research says that it increases your brain waves. There are so many reported benefits of listening to binaural beats. I want to also just say this one notable thing. Someone with epilepsy may or may not benefit from this, and it may be problematic. So keep that in mind, but also note in some cases, it can help reduce anxiety, stress, and if you happen to have sleep disorders. So consider that. You can super easily just go to YouTube and look up samples of that sound frequency. Just look up Google binaural beats and you'll come up with all kinds of things that you can listen to. Another frequency that you can use to help with anxiety is 432 hertz music. Again, you can easily find this on YouTube. My husband and I have found several channels that allow 8 or 9 hours of music, so you're able to have it on during sleep. It's relaxing and it definitely helps soothe anxiety, or if you've just had a bad day, it's a great background sound to help you rest and sleep. One wonderful thing is that I have found a few channels that allow you, if you have a TV or something, to put it on and do black screens. So you're not looking at the light on your TV, you're only listening to the music. Number 7, deep breathing, or specifically box breathing. The Navy SEALs use box breathing to calm their nervous system. So I'm guessing the situations Navy SEALs must navigate typically outweigh most stressors that you or I will ever have to navigate. Now, I know there are exceptions to this rule, but I consider if they're using it, I think we can probably use it too to diffuse anxiety. And I've given it to clients before and it's worked really well for them. Box breathing just stimulates your parasympathetic system and it increases your CO2. So it just helps you feel less anxiety. It's easy, it's free, and it helps you kind of regain calm when you're feeling anxiety. So what exactly is box breathing? It is super simple. You think of it in 4 steps, and I'll give you all the steps. Step 1, you just inhale slowly through your nose, counting to 4. You concentrate on filling your lungs with your diaphragm and using your abdomen to kind of fill your lungs. And then you're going to hold that breath with an additional count to 4. Once you've gotten to that 4, you're going to exhale slowly, counting to 4. And then your last step is after that fully exhaled breath, you're going to hold for 4 more counts. You'll just repeat that about 5 or 6 times, and this will regulate your parasympathetic system, and it's going to help you feel less anxiety. Number 8 is no surprise, I guarantee you, but it's regular physical activity. Exercise, as we know, releases endorphins and it improves your mood. It also helps increase blood flow over the entire body, and that can just help your whole mindset. And it, of course, will increase your confidence. One misconception many people have is that you have to exercise for a full hour every single day, or at least 5 or 6 times a week, or you don't get any benefits. And that's simply not true. In as little as 10 to 15 minutes of activity, you can experience benefits that reduce anxiety and give you other health benefits that are just good for you. One other thing to consider is how many different ways you can get regular exercise. You don't have to join a gym or an expensive exercise program to get anxiety-busting benefits. You can just take walks, you can try dance classes, or go dancing with your partner regularly, hiking, riding a bike, using home exercise equipment like a mini trampoline or a vibration plate. Maybe you do yoga or Pilates, or you play physical games like pickleball, tennis, or basketball. All of those things, they count towards physical activity and they count toward reduced anxiety. So just keep yourself active. Think of a 10 or 15 minute activity that you can place in each day, and you'll see that benefit of not experiencing as much anxiety ongoing. Number 9 is aromatherapy. One of my hobbies just in life is playing with essential oils. Now, there are so many uses with essential oils that will help your health and happiness. Once you learn how to properly use them, they're amazing. But I want to give you kind of a little disclaimer here or warning that as many things are, you must be informed and you have to be careful when you use any compounds, even when you believe that they're natural, because not all natural oils are the same and some can be dangerous because just because they're natural doesn't mean that they can't harm you. Do your research before you begin using essential oils and be very cognizant of where you're getting your essential oils because not all essential oils are equal. I will tell you one known thing that I learned through a friend. Citrus oils can be caustic in the sun, meaning they can cause blisters or problems with your skin if you have them exposed to sun. which I would have never known before, but I have a friend who learned the hard way. She was allergic to lime oil, so she would squirt lime or her drink and be in the sun, and she would get all these blisters. And it took the doctors years to figure out what it was. And when she finally figured it out, it was something nobody could have even imagined. Keep that in mind and know you must research before you use oils, but there is great evidence you can use them as aromatherapy and reduce your anxiety. You can also use them topically, but I would say start with aromatherapy and just use them there. There is research that shows lavender oil can be powerful at reducing anxiety. Orange oil can help reduce anxiety for students taking exams. And Tulsi, which is also known as holy basil, which is my personal favorite, helps reduce anxiety and reduce stress. There are a ton of other oils that can help with aromatherapy, but those are the top, and they're ones that I know that I can use and I have used before or taught other people to use. One thing to note is that with holy basil, which is my favorite, Tulsi, it comes in herbal teas and pill form too. So consider that. When you're looking at aromatherapy, are there some herbal components that you could use in a tea or maybe a pill form that might help you with anxiety that are not going to interfere with other medications that you're taking or interfere with anything else that you might have, allergies or intolerances? Know what their purpose is and know how they can impact your mental state before you use them. All right. Number 10, you can use therapy. Therapy can be a great way to work out what has happened in your past. Therapy can help you process emotional issues and traumas that have occurred, but they can also help you manage what you're feeling currently in the state you're in right now. It can be helpful for getting diagnosed or getting treatment for disorders like anxiety disorders. So it's really important that if you feel that your anxiety is extreme and it's impacting your life in a way that's preventing you from doing everyday activities, it may be something worth your time to go visit a therapist to get a diagnosis. And sometimes, even if you don't think that's what's going on, I've shared before that I had some pretty intense feelings at one time that were probably depression, and I just didn't know that's what was happening. So always be conscientious, always be in touch with other people around you. And if you think that it's something that you need professional help, please go get it. Therapists have been very valuable in my life. I know they've been very valuable in other people's lives. And the last thing we want to do is push through something because we don't want to go see somebody professionally and really need it. The number 11, I would say coaching, getting a life coach. A life coach is very different than a therapist. A therapist is primarily or looking at your past and helping you cope with those traumas and that sort of thing. Coaching is looking forward and focused on being forward and creating actions and plans for your future. It's helping you identify what may be in your way currently so you can work on mindset and thought management and identifying specific actions that you need to take so you can move forward. Coaching is great for someone who experiences anxiety but is ready to learn and embrace tools to help them manage their anxiety now. So it's maybe impacting their life a little bit, but it can't if it's not something that is impacting your life in a way that you cannot perform everyday activities. If you have a diagnosed anxiety disorder, it is highly possible that you need to just be visiting a therapist or having a therapist with a coach at the same time so you can work through both of those things. Let me tell you, if you're just uncertain and you don't know what you need, coaching or therapy, I can help you, and that's what the free discovery call is all about. Go to thecrazyconfidencecoach.com and sign up by clicking in the top right corner. I have a button that says free discovery call, and it doesn't cost you anything. And if I think you need therapy and coaching is not going to work for you right now, I will be 100% honest with you because I believe in both. I believe in therapy and I believe in coaching, and there's an appropriate time for all of them. Okay, although the podcast is not about our physical health, we all know how much physical health can impact mental health. But did you know that your microbiome in your stomach can impact how you feel anxiety, or if you are someone who has anxiety? Your gut health is so very important. There are many, many places that you can get good information on this, and one of my favorite is in a podcast called Naturally Nourished with Allie Miller. Her podcast shares just very detailed information on how you can regain your health. And she has a great library of information and wealth of information on gut health. I would encourage you, if you have problems with your stomach, there are so many things that impact your mental health, and your gut is one of those. And it's one of the things that I think is most overlooked. It may be the rock that hasn't been overturned that will make a difference in how you experience anxiety. For instance, you may not know that you have this gut-brain axis, and it is the connection between your brain and your gut. And when it gets disrupted, it influences your mood and anxiety. Then there's gut inflammation, and it is correlated with anxiety symptoms. So there's so many things that you can have in your gut, like reactions to foods and food intolerance and food allergies. So me personally, I have intolerance to corn products. And when I have corn products, or at least multiple days in a row, I have high anxiety. And I have zero coping skills. Like, I'll cry at the drop of a hat for absolutely no reason. And so my husband knows if I'm being super emotional or my coping skills are shot, he'll just kind of check in with me and say, hey, have you had a lot of corn chips? Especially things that are not organic or non-GMO just really impact me. I'm 100% sure that it's all connected to my gut, and it makes a big difference. My belief is that people are running around cranky and unhappy, and it has so much to do with their gut health and what they're eating. If you have a child who happens to be super emotional, you might have that checked as well. Are they having food intolerance or a food allergy that you're not aware of? I'll give you one sign for me that I know I've had something that I am having a reaction to. The inside of my ear will itch so profusely that I seriously want to take a pencil and shove it down my ear. And I know that sounds crazy, but if I watch kids that are tugging on their ears all the time, it just really bothers me because I want to run and tell the parent, hey, go get them checked for food allergies or food intolerance, because it's highly likely that they are encountering some version of that. Then you have the 13th one that we'll talk about today, and is also something that is kind of a hidden thing that creates anxiety that you might consider, and that is mold. If you do research on mold and mold toxicity, you're going to find pretty quickly that there's some pretty scary information on how it's impacting your mental health. It can impact all kinds of other physical things, and it just can be pretty scary. I'll drop the name of another podcast I listen to. His name is Evan Brand, and he has relatively low-cost mold kits on his site called Aura Roots. And he has products for sensitive individuals too when they're treating mold in their house. And let me tell you, a lot of times people kind of brush this off when it comes to anxiety, that it can't be related to mold because they don't have mold or they don't know of mold in their home. But we personally had our shower redone, and when that was redone, we had the walls taken out. Like, it was a big process, and you would assume by doing that we got rid of any mold or anything going on. And then about 30 to 60 days after the new shower was complete, I started having reactions. I could tell I wasn't feeling very good. I could smell the mold, but I couldn't figure out where it was coming from. And when I would go in the bathroom and take a shower, I just had reactions. I was having headaches and that sort of thing. And we had the shower guy come out. He said there's no leaks anywhere, so there's no problems. Well, as months went by, another 30 to 60 days, it got worse and worse. And I knew, I could smell it. I knew there was a problem. So one day I started cutting holes in walls because we had, that gentleman said it must be behind your toilet or it must be behind your refrigerator, the walls on the same wall. And I just started cutting holes, and lo and behold, the hole I cut behind the shower, there was water literally dripping out. I just say, you may or may not see where mold is that's impacting your health, and mold greatly impacts anxiety. Consider that it may be something that is impacting you, and past mold exposure can also be an issue as well. So again, Evan Brand is a great resource for that. As you're thinking about ways to help yourself with anxiety, just consider the outside influences, the environments, and things you may or may not have considered, especially if you've done a lot of things and tried a lot of things and none of them are working. I hope you really have gained some insight here today, because anxiety is a big deal for many of us on occasion. That is very normal, and that's just part of life. Learning coping skills is super fun. So sure, putting on some frequency sound healing with a little aromatherapy can really deregulate anxiety and help us cope better. But sometimes it's a little deeper. Sometimes it's mold hiding in the wall, or sometimes it's you need to relieve the stress by stepping away from a stressful job or something like that. But the things that we talked about today are just things that you can consider to add to whatever you're doing and hopefully help you reduce anxiety, because my goal for you is to get you to a place that you're happier, you're healthier, and you can build your confidence. You can't do that if you're in an anxiety state and you're not doing well. Hey, I want to thank you for listening in to the Crazy Confidence Coach podcast. I really hope you learned something valuable today. Can you do me the biggest favor? Right now, could you share the show with 3 people you know that might enjoy listening in? If you haven't already, I would greatly appreciate it if you took the time to leave a rating or review. This helps people just like you find the podcast so they can also get great fun tips about confidence. Then don't forget, come back each week and we will keep giving out little tips for how to increase your confidence, how to ditch that self-doubt and stop your negative thought patterns so you can get back to your crazy confident self and pursue your biggest dreams fearlessly. See you next week. Love you big.